Are there shops who have done extremely well under coaching? Yes. Have there shops that have had no change, gone backwards? That's happened too. But it takes a lot of reflection. Was it the coaching, or was it the implementation, or was it reluctance? It's a fine line between getting uncomfortable and being out of alignment. And you have to be super honest with yourself where you're falling. Coaching is going to push you towards not knowing what you don't know. If you have to make a sea change in your business, then you have to understand that when you know better, you do better.
This is Shop Talk Her Way with JeanAnn SaintGrace.
Is having a coach the right thing for your business? That's a good question, isn't it? Well, let's explore. Hi, this is JeanAnn SaintGrace, and thank you for joining me for this episode of Shop Talk Her Way. I'm so happy to be here with you today, and as always, my topic comes out of things that are happening close to me and around me. There have been some changes to the coaching landscape. Some of the people that I'm associated with and know and have worked with are being challenged right now by some changes to the places that they work, and also for clients. The clients are being affected as well. So I thought it was a great time to talk about coaching. And I know the opinions on coaching range from no, you don't need it, to I would never be without it. And I think it's definitely an individual choice, of course. Like there's no hard and fast rules about any of this. But if you've listened to hopefully the first episode, and I would encourage you to go back, because the first episode of this podcast was me talking about my story and how I landed in this chair. And coaching as a coaching client was key to the zigzag line that got me to where I am right now. And the gift of the coaching was that when we encountered a very challenging time with my husband being diagnosed with cancer and having to sell our business, the coaching was the thing that gave us something to sell, that the business was valuable, that there was something there and of value to sell, in addition to the property that the shop was on. But also in the aftermath of my husband ultimately passing, we had, through the coaching, met an excellent accountant who also gave us excellent financial advice and encouraged us to create a 401k program, which then ultimately got me through the early years of the grieving process after my husband passed away, and I had a good, solid financial foundation to move from. And unfortunately, a lot of people that find themselves in my position of losing a spouse, the financial situation is not as good as the one that I was in. So did we make good choices? Yes. Did we have good advice? Yes. But all of those things flowed from the coaching relationship. So the pros and cons, of course, are vast, and there are people who have been hurt by getting into a coaching relationship. If they have found the wrong coach, if they landed with a company that wasn't in alignment with the kind of business that they wanted to have. I hate to say it, but and I'm not pointing the fingers at anyone, this is a general statement, there are coaching companies out there who will do just about anything to make a sale. And that's unfortunate to me, because most people who need coaching are in challenging positions. And if they're fear sold, just like I am against us fear selling in the shop, I'm against fear selling coaching. I think we can lay out, as coaches, the opportunities that are there. We can look at financials, we can look at shop data, and we can tell you where we see room for improvement. I'm even in favor of giving, away some of the milk for free, so that people can see that what we're offering actually works. I don't believe that we should be gatekeeping all of the wisdom. There's financial models out there, and once you share it with one person, it's out there. So sharing financial models, sharing profit pictures, um, where should your KPIs be, or where would it be recommended? All of those things are out there and easy to find. So sharing a certain amount of concrete information, I am absolutely in favor of that. And so there's multiple layers to this, like there always are. But um we have to look at, as individual shops, what is the benefit, what is the cost. And I would argue that in most cases, the amount of investment that you're making, you can earn back. Like there's usually enough room in a shop that you will pay for your coaching bill. Like it will be built into the business model, and it's easily paid for. Sometimes it's hard to see that, but at the same time, when you have a business that's breaking even or not breaking even, um, as far, and by not breaking even, I mean not profitable. There might be information that can be gleaned from a coaching relationship. And depending on the coaching company, the coaching process, my first goal when I come on with a new client is to address their initial need. Do we need more profit? Do we need more cars? Do we need more sales? How do we implement those things and get an initial lift in the business? Most times you can fix a sales or a profit issue within a couple of months and get the business at least profitable, or at least beyond breaking even. And is it sometimes uncomfortable? Yes. Comfort rarely leads to change, unfortunately. Um, and I was one of those people. I was comfortable and I was complacent. We had a nice little shop. We had a nice little life. The bills were getting paid. Our checks were cashing. Um, we were in a very comfortable place. And that place was probably somewhere between 1% and 5% of profit on the bottom line. And when I was invited to this coaching company's boot camp, that one of the things that they offer was to review your financials. And so I provided them with our profit and loss and a balance sheet. And one of the representatives of the company, after he reviewed our financials, said to me, "You're in a very dangerous position." And as much as I talk about fear selling, when he said that, it didn't instill fear in me, it instilled curiosity. So the way that was presented to me was not, if you don't get coaching, you're going to die. Like that was not how he approached it. But what he said after that was, you're in a comfortable place. The business shows profit on the bottom line. It's moving along, but you're one bad month away from not having a business. And he was right. He was right. But from the model that I worked from, going in my college experience, when we were given problems, worked worked for. I have a degree in agricultural business. So when they gave us a farm problem, it was never like fix this problem to 20% or 25% profit margin. It was fix this problem to break even. So at that point, break even was the goal. And if there was profit, that was kind of a bonus. The profit was not built in. And so that was my paradigm when I stepped into the automotive business, was if we break even, we're good, right? And then there's also the fear of quote unquote paying taxes. So you want to make just enough money that you're profitable, but not so much that you're getting killed by taxes. And that's a limiting belief. So I don't agree with that now. So don't take that one for where should you be now? That was where I was then. And so um this idea that if we broke even or had a little bit of profit on the bottom line, that was enough. And a little bit of profit only covers so many things. It does not cover several slow months. It does not cover a key player being out for an indefinite amount of time due to an injury, a loss, a disability, whatever that might look like. It does not pay for retooling. It doesn't pay for investment in new tooling. It doesn't pay for training. It doesn't pay for growth in the business. Break even does not leave room for those things to happen. And, I would argue now that all of those things need to be built into your budget, and then you need to have 20 to 25% on your net profit line. Because as I am a testament to, you just don't know what the future is going to throw at you. So as we adopted this model and changed the flow of work through our shop, we became more profitable. And I became eagle-eyed on, what were our profit margins, evaluating our inventory, looking at our pricing. And I'll be honest with you, there were some things that our coach told us that I did not agree with. And so, we agreed to disagree and we went on. And so, as a coach, my perspective on this is that I can share information. I can give you what worked for me. I can share what I know works, but it is always incumbent on the owner to implement. And there's a few things that are non-negotiable, but almost everything else is pivotal. Like everything can be adjusted, adapted, rearranged to make it work for the shop. And I know there are coaches out there that it's my way or the highway, and they lose patience with the client. But that's time for a new coach, right? If you get into a coaching relationship and your coach is not who you need, if it's not a good fit, then it's incumbent on you to advocate for yourself to get a different coach, not to stick around because you're in a contract that may or may not be unbreakable, and quote unquote suffer or just dodge your coach and put that money just down the drain. Like there's a way to utilize the investment one way or the other. And some people have been bitten by that, getting stuck in contracts, getting into, being sold one thing and getting something else, whether it's an intentional bait and switch or what they heard was not what they received. And it's buyer beware, right? You've got to be very clear on what your intention is and what you want out of the coaching relationship. And if coaching all of a sudden comes into your consciousness, it becomes into your awareness, and it's one company, then I would say that it behooves you to go out and look at other companies and see if this company is the right one for you, or if there's another company that might fit better. What are the benefits of coaching? Most shops in coaching will see at least 10% increase in profit over over their previous time, increase in shop productivity. Those are the two primary things that a shop will see. And the other things that are there are the things you don't know that you don't know. So if you're having trouble being the leader in your shop and the coaching that you're receiving includes leadership coaching, then you have an increase in leadership. As you increase your leadership, then the culture in your shop improves. Then engagement from your employees improves. The byproduct of all of that should be that the service to your customers and your bottom line improve. So those are all benefits of coaching. Can you learn how to hire better? Can you learn how to fire better? Do you learn how to do operations better? Are there technologies that you were unaware of? It's this opening up of information and the flow of information. One of the things that really turned the dial for me was when we were into a peer group or a 20 group where we met regularly with other shop owners to hear what was working for them and what wasn't. Looking at one of the things our 20 group did was compare our weekly sales, our weekly profits, traffic, car count, all of those things to see, is it us or is it out there? Is this a trend nationally or statewide, or is this just us and we've got a problem we need to fix? And then if we have a problem that we need to fix, how have other people fixed this problem? It helped me to not feel so isolated as a shop owner. Unfortunately, at the time, my thinking was that every shop in my town was competition. I mean, we had some good relationships with other shops, but there were some that did the same things we did, and there were shops that did some things totally different than we did. So, getting out of that thinking that we can't work or help with other people in our market because there's enough business to go around. Um, and that would be one of the things that I've definitely shifted, is that the shop down the street is not my enemy. They're actually my friend. And we need to collaborate where we can, help each other, be able to, shift work back and forth if we need to. If somebody's out, very specifically, when my husband was first treated for his cancer, we had to close the shop for 30 days. And so having a network of shops around us, quality shops that we could refer people to, as they needed help while we were gone, was a huge blessing. So you just never know when you might need to lean into this community and get some help. So, building that network, building a community within your community, those are all things that flowed out of my understanding of what does the business environment actually look like. Are there some unsavory characters out there who engage in smear campaigns, use your business name as a keyword in their Google searches so that when somebody searches you, they get them? That is out there. There are always the unsavory characters, but I would say that the overwhelming majority of people are good, and then you've got the stinkers, and the stinkers make it hard for the rest of us. So, you know, back to the benefits, all of these things were benefits to me, and the ultimate benefit was there was profit on the bottom line. We had 401ks, we had a business to sell, all of those things, and insurance, and health insurance. We had good solid health insurance that after 2 years of hardcore cancer treatment, the last bill I paid after my husband passed away in the hospital was $600. That's not the truth for a lot of people. And I feel very lucky for that. Like, I feel very, very lucky for that. Spending almost between 5.5 and 6 weeks in the hospital at end of life is not an inexpensive thing. And we had the right insurance to cover that. So, making sure that if the worst were to happen, that you're covered. The one thing that I didn't have that looking back, I think are wise investments, or would have been both life insurance and Keyman insurance. The Keyman insurance would have helped, pay payroll, keep the bills paid, would have taken that layer of stress off. And then the life insurance, of course, would have been helpful. I probably could have paid off our house and those kinds of things, but it is what it is. Like, financially, I came out of all of this much, much, much better than probably 90% of people that go through what I went through. And I do credit the coaching for that, right? Because not only was I learning about my business, I was learning about finance. I was learning about the landscape of the financial world. I was really, really blessed to have good mentors, good coaching, and the eyes to see and the ears to hear what was going on. So there were, like I said, I can't say enough. I cannot say enough that 4 years of coaching towards the end of our business was really, really valuable for me. And that is not a direct line, but that's how I landed in this chair. Was, as a former shop owner who after we closed the shop, I got into personal coaching. So I had some coaching abilities and skills and experience. And then all of that experience rolled into this place where I am now, to be here to coach other automotive shops, with a depth that I think not all coaches have, because I can coach the personal side as well as the business side, and the culture stuff all makes sense to me, and how to manage people and understanding people and seeing people for who and what they are. Whether that's an asset to your company or a detriment, you've got to figure that out. But I was comfortable and I was complacent. And if that coaching company hadn't walked through the door, the landscape of my life would have looked much, much, much different. And it would have probably been much harder. So, I don't even consider myself a survivor. I have thrived post beyond the biggest challenge of my life and the biggest loss. So, I feel like I have a college degree's worth of experience in surviving the worst. And I'm here to tell you, you can survive it. And it's all about, how do you have your financial stuff set? How are you personally? And what is your support system? And, I can honestly say that my coach that I had in business became a friend. After we had to sever the coaching relationship, we checked in with each other on a regular basis, and happy birthdays and wedding anniversaries and just, hey, how you doing calls. And that was a powerful relationship. And to this day, he's my coach, and that's how I refer to him when I see him. He's my coach. And that's a bond. Sorry, it's emotional because of how much I care about him. Like, he was the voice in the wilderness on more than one occasion, both personally and business wise. So you can tell that I'm passionate about this. And I encourage you that if you are seeking a coaching relationship, that you date a couple of companies, that you go out and find out who they are. You talk to current and past clients. You talk to other shop owners around you. Um, you know, it's not a one size fits all situation. And I know there are people out there who will say a coach is a four-letter word, and that, I would say, is based on their experience, that it might not have been beneficial. And sometimes you will enter into a coaching relationship and you're not ready to face the things that you need coached on, because I hate to say it, but but the health and welfare of the owner of the shop flows directly down into the health of the shop itself. And so a lot of times, to fix a problem in the shop, we have to fix ourselves as owners. And 100% in agreement. I've told this story, but just to share it one more time, I was going through a really tough challenge in my personal life, and it was causing me to put up a lot of emotional barriers. And then I ended up putting up emotional and empathetic barriers with my clients, and I couldn't sell a thing. Like, you could, if you looked at the P&L and the sales revenue, it was decreasing rapidly compared to how deeply I was putting up boundaries with people and how much I was hurting. And once I brought awareness to that and pulled myself out of that, put my hat on straight, then things changed and the business went back up and I went back up. So, as goes the king, goes the kingdom. So if you're having a personal challenge, chances are your business is going to reflect that. It's going to filter into your team. It's going to filter down to your customers. It's going to filter through. So, again, you have to figure out, and this is a discernment, this is a gut check moment. Is the coach making me uncomfortable because I need to grow, or is the coach making me uncomfortable because he or she is asking me to do something out of my integrity, out of alignment with me, not on the list of things that I want to do in my business? And that's a very fine line. It's very fine. And I will tell you too that sometimes of the things I was most resistant to was the thing that actually ended up working. There were things that we adopted very quickly: digital vehicle inspections, increasing our parts matrix, pushing for certain profit KPIs. And just so you know, you should be pushing on labor and parts. The ultimate goal would be 60%. If you can get solidly into the 50s, that's a win. 60 is the unicorn goal for me, for my my coaching people, and you might be going like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. It sounds like a lot, but it's easy to attain if you line up everything in your shop properly. And so, and I was right there with you. You want me to charge what for a filter? You want me to charge what for a service? Like, really? Believe me, it's a gut check moment. But when you lay it out on paper and you see what you need to do to make your business profitable and powerful, those are the things that you need to do, along with hiring the right people, having a good team working with you. Um, all the pieces of the puzzle have to come together, but it's never profit or dollars at any cost. That's not it. And I'm never advocating either that you go from 0 to 60 on something. You need to work your way up through it, because now that what I know now about humans is we have to get ourselves comfortable with things. We have to allow our nervous system to accept this is how it is now. And for owners who are implementing change and they're getting resistance from their team, again, it's important to sit with your team and talk to them and be like, where's this resistance coming from? And if you've built culture and you're doing your one-on-ones and you are a supportive leader, they should be able to come to you and be like, I don't know if I can do this, boss. And then depending on what that is, then we coach them through that. And, if you're not confident informing and sharing information with the customer, especially not only what's going on with vehicle, but what it's going to cost to fix it. If you don't feel comfortable and certain, that's going to translate, and the sales are not going to be where they need for them to be. And I have very deeply come to feel and to understand that chasing dollars is the wrong way to go about this. We have to provide service. We have to have our hearts in the right place, our intentions in the right place, and we have to be in our integrity as we move forward. If we're in our integrity, that bleeds through the system, and then everybody's in their integrity. And then when we go to the customer, that integrity shines through. So, are there shops who have done extremely well under coaching? Yes. Have there shops that have had no change, gone backwards? That's happened too. But it takes a lot of reflection. Was it the coaching, or was it the implementation, or was it reluctance of the owners or managers to implement what needed to be implemented? And like I said, it's a fine line between getting uncomfortable and being out of alignment. And you have to be super honest with yourself where you're falling there. And the other dangerous thing, for lack of a better term, is coaching is going to push you towards not knowing what you don't know. And if you have to make a sea change in your business, then you have to understand that when you know better, you do better. And that's really all there is to it. And if you have to upset your team, if you have to hire and fire, if you have to change pricing or working workflow, or there's a very clear change in front of the customers, then we have to let the customers know what's going on. And to a degree of transparency. I'm not saying they need to know every movement within the shop of, I had to fire this guy for this and I had to fire this girl for this, or I need to hire this person for this. They don't need that, but they need to know that there's consistency and that the improvements are going to be consistent. And that will translate through the business. So again, as a coach, I feel very responsible in the work that I do, because I don't want to send somebody in the wrong direction. I am very careful with the things I present, the order we present them in. Are we building blocks of foundation, or are we just willy-nilly running around with our hair on fire trying to put fires out? That all is important to know. And am I the coach for everyone? I'm not. And I'll tell you, there were multiple coaches that I've met and I would be like, no, thank you. I don't want that level of coaching. Or that kind of coaching, or that style of coaching. You know, personalities are what they are. Sometimes you need somebody who will push you. Sometimes you need somebody who will gently support you and bring you up. And not all coaches are dynamic enough to do all those things. You might have a really good relationship with your coach, but that relationship might have petered out because their specialty does not lie in the next step that you have to take. So, like I said, I have heard coaching been used as a swear word. And it hurts my heart to think that anybody has had a bad experience in coaching because, like I said, my experience with coaching was life changing and business changing and had long lasting effects. I can draw a very squiggly line from that day in 2010 or 2011 when that coaching company walked through my door to this seat that I sit in now. And I can tell you also that my life is better for it. And I am very, very blessed and deeply grateful that I get to do this work. It is truly, honestly, my life's calling. And that's why, when I can, I do things at no cost. I will talk to a tech who's looking at getting into a shop. I will talk to an owner that's having problems. The first call is on me. A couple of calls might be on me depending on the situation. Um, and and that doesn't mean that it ever turns into anything. It might turn into a a coaching challenge. It could turn into a coaching challenge. It could turn into a coaching relationship, or I may never hear from them again. But if I've given them help in that short piece where they needed it, then I've done my work. So, those are those are things to think about. Like, are they willing to spill some of the milk for you if you're in need, and then hope that it turns into something, or maybe not, but is it given with no strings attached and in the spirit of building our industry and making it better? So, with all that being said, as always, one of our partners, and now a partner in the shop in Shop Talk Her Way in the podcast, is WorldPack and WorldPack Training Institute. And the world of parts purchasing and availability that WorldPack opened up for us was huge in our business. And I'm deeply grateful that we had them as a partner then and we have them as a partner now. And then WorldPack Training Institute, which is here to help our industry do better. They offer every level of training from free 1 hour technician and owner trainings once a week, all the way up to paid weekend seminars that you can participate in. They even have their big show, STX, coming up in Washington, D.C. in August. So they were offering you a full training experience from, all the way down here at no charge, all the way up to high level quality professional training and at a price. So I encourage you to check out both WorldPack and WorldPack Training Institute, become a partner in your business. So with that all being said, use your discernment, trust what's in your heart. If you're working with a coaching company or a coach right now that doesn't work for you, make a change. But be true and honest with yourself if it's just a level of discomfort that you don't want to deal with, or if there's actually a problem in the relationship. There are no one size fits all, and just like every other relationship in your life, if it works and it's good, it's good. If it doesn't work and it's not going anywhere, then it's time for a change. So I want to thank you again for joining me for this episode of Shop Talk Her Way. Don't forget that all of my contacts are in the show notes. Feel free to reach out, have questions, leave comments, give feedback. I'm open to all of it. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have an idea for a show, please, share that information with me. But know that I'm always here. I'm always available. I'm not hiding under a rock anywhere. And I value all of you. And my ultimate goal is for every shop owner to have their shop their way. So thank you again. This is JeanAnn SaintGrace with Shop Talk Her Way. Go out there, love your people till it's weird, and take your business to the next level. Have a great day.